So I was constantly searching for a rabbit hole to fall down into. And I thought for sure if I looked hard and far enough, that white rabbit would peek its head out and lure me into a rabbit hole where magical things could happen. And so yeah, I'm still looking for rabbit holes to fall into and secret closets to make my way into, and secret gardens to discover.
Welcome to the Enchanted Earth podcast, where you will hear stories of nature with the power to transform our lives. These sacred stories are begging to be shared now. So listen in as my guest today shares one of their own. So welcome, everybody. Today we have with us Maria Best, and let me share a little bit about Maria. She's a certified nature and forest therapy guide, a board-certified professional organizer, and a Feng Shui practitioner. She's passionate about volunteering in her local community and has worked with high school students in the crime prevention through environmental design program, a multidisciplinary approach that empowers students in creating harmonious spaces on their campuses. Maria also volunteers as a purpose workshop facilitator with the Blue Zones Project, Monterey County in California. So welcome, Maria.
Thanks, Maureen. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here with you today.
So, of course, we do know each other through Feng Shui and through Biophilic design. And I was really excited to have you in the Biophilic design class that I teach because you do forest therapy. And I have many forest therapy friends, and it's just such a wonderful, wonderful practice. Can you just share a little bit about what forest therapy is?
Yes, thank you. So forest therapy is it's a sensory experience in nature, a forest or any type of nature environments where you are able to just reconnect with yourself, reconnect with the land, and it's a wellness practice for both both people and the land. So it's an opportunity to kind of step away from the noise of the world and really just kind of come back into your body and connect with the world around us.
Very beautiful definition. And what really struck me was that you purposely inserted that these experiences are not only for wellness for us, but for the land as well.
Yes.
And that is something that we share.
Yes.
And not many people do. I think many people view actually view the land as being better off without us. And that is absolutely not true.
Yeah, I really, the land wants to take care of us. Mother Earth wants to mother us. It wants to be, in my opinion, in relationship with us. It offers everything it has every day. We wake up, the sun shines. Today I live in California. We don't get a whole lot of rain. It's raining today. It offers it's abundance willingly and givingly every day. And it wants to partner with us. And when we talk about climate concerns or things that are happening, I think this approach, forest therapy, is one individual and unique approach to give people the opportunity to be in relationship with natural environments. Some people have never had the opportunity to be invited to go on a trail walk or to go to the beach. And so it's this foreign concept for a lot of people. For those of us who spend countless hours in nature, it seems like, what do you mean you never get outside? But some people are just never given the opportunity to really connect and be in nature. And once we start, and again, in my opinion, forming those relationships, it gives people an opportunity to see the land through a different lens and realize its power and beauty and all the things it has to offer, and begin that relationship with it, and therefore be more likely to want to care for it and take care of it, right? Because we take care of things that we love, and people sometimes think climate change or nature's this whole otherworldly thing in it, and it's not. We're dependent on it every day. And so how can we also take care of it?
Yeah, I find so few people know what forest bathing or forest therapy is about, and when they do, I think they're like, "Wow, I think I'd like to do that." That's something I do feel that people need to be given permission to slow down and have these invitations that forest therapy provides. And it really does do such a wonderful service for people who really need that to be taken by the hand.
Yes, yes. And it can be we're late to the party a little bit as Westerners in forest bathing. Obviously, this originated in Japan, and some other countries are actively, they're writing prescriptions for it now. Doctors and health care professionals are doing that. And it's people say forest bathing, what is that? But understanding that we're bathing our senses in, all the natural essential oils and all of those things, and kind of, and everyone, I love taking people the second time, because the first time everyone's, what are we doing? What's happening? And then then like, oh, okay. Once they were actually used to it, because it takes people, my walks generally last about 3 hours. And for that first hour, people can be very uncomfortable going that slow, or just not, we have we're in a space of, I call it attention fatigue. We're always, our attention is being called 24/7. So when we're given the opportunity to really detach from that, it can be uncomfortable for people at first
Yeah.
to just be alone with themselves. And then by the second time, they're like, oh, okay, I get it a little bit more, and get used to that feeling, because we're not even used to slowing down. It feels very awkward for a lot of us.
Awkward. Yes. That's a good word for it. Hmm. Wow, and something else that popped out that I did not know was your work with teenagers with crime
Mm-hmm.
prevention,
Mm-hmm.
and that just really strikes me because years ago, 2004, I had a dream that children, young teenagers were beating up deer in the city, and I'm in the mayor's office, and I'm telling the mayor that we need to plant trees. And I was working in marketing at the time. I had no knowledge of biophilic design
Mm-hmm.
and about any research about
Mm-hmm.
nature. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I had an affiliation with nature personally, but it was really kind of a unusual thing waking up from this dream going, what is that telling me I'm supposed to do? And it's like it's taken, quite a long time to realize. I mean, a few years later I discovered biophilic design. But anyhow, uh I love that you're working with teenagers to reduce violence and crime and helping them. Can you just share a little bit about that experience?
Yes, thank you. I'm really wanting to do a little bit more of it. So far, I have volunteered with 4 different high schools in Monterey County, and this was on a grant program through the county to work with different schools, and different schools had to apply. And then the students came together as a group and identified a space on campus that could potentially um, be an area of, I'll just use the word negativity, if you will, not a positive space. So whether it could be like maybe they had like where they're, maybe if they were able to eat outside, where they gathered to eat had high fences, or just different things that weren't, they were not scary, but just not inviting. And how could they tailor or have some spots where students could come together and feel safe? And so part of my role, that they were the brainstormers, they were the ones identifying, hey, we'd really like to do this classroom and turn it into this type of thing. And then my role was to kind of bring in and help them tease out different elements. So we're going back into biophilic design, and having them understand how the impact of natural lighting can be in a space, right? Or to not have the overhead fluorescent lights in a certain space, and having them just kind of talk to that. So I kind of instructed them on what, having a water feature could do, or how excess clutter in a corner can make a room feel. And they were like, oh, I never thought about it that way, or how they can bring in different elements of um, whether it be lighting or plants, or even in the courtyard in the lunch area, talked about bringing in larger trees and potted plants, and how showing them pictures befores and afters on how the space could feel. So how well lit places feel more safe, and how these different things. So it was more of a partnership. They were the guiding forces, and I was just kind of there to make some suggestions on how they could bring their vision to life with what they were trying to accomplish.
Wonderful. So you were like in the process of educating them
Yes.
about how our spaces impact us on a psychological level. That is wonderful. Wonderful to
Yes.
hear.
Yes.
So I'm kind of curious, what was your childhood like in nature?
My childhood in nature, I wanted to be Alice in Wonderland. I wanted to be Lucy Closet and find Narnia. I wanted to be Dorothy, and I wanted to spin in a house and land in a foreign land. So I was an avid reader. The Secret Garden and changed my life, and I read it. I still read it to this day. So I grew up in a very rural area, and so it was very normal to climb trees and to I was of the generation that you were told, get outside and don't come back until I call you back. And so you got to be very creative and learned a lot um, things. So I was constantly searching for a rabbit hole to fall down into. And I thought for sure if I looked hard and far enough, that white rabbit would peek its head out and lure me into a rabbit hole where magical things could happen. And so yeah, I'm still looking for rabbit holes to fall into, and secret closets to make my way into, and secret gardens to discover.
Oh, I love that. What a wonderful curiosity and playfulness and imagination. I think those are words that really drive me.
Hmm.
Light, I think they light us up when we think about those words. It's so fun.
Yeah, it is so fun. And I think as I get older, and I start to recognize, what things do bring you joy and what does light you up, and that sense of adventure and that sense of those nature connections. And through this practice with forest bathing and just practicing it on a regular basis, I've had some fun experiences that make me feel like some of those things are potential to happen. A literal rabbit hole with a queen and all the things, I don't know. Maybe I'm not going to roll it out, but glimmers. I see more glimmers, lots of glimmers.
Oh, okay. So now I want you to share one of those glimmers.
Okay, I'll share a glimmer. Before I share a glimmer, though, I do want to thank you for your book. I recently finished it, and my biggest takeaway was not only the stories that were woven within it, but the permission for those of us who have had these that we think are unique experiences, or woo woo, or not quite normal in the human tamed world, a platform to share. And so that's was after I finished it. I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for just saying it's okay to tell your stories of nature, because it's important and
Yeah.
very much needed. So I just want to acknowledge that before we go on
Oh,
with.
well, thank you. Thank you. That is the goal, to make these a normal human experience. And the more we share, the more normalized they become.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And it, when people it's challenging, and I'm kind of in this space, so I've been trained as a guide. I think it's been 4 years now, so I'm going to call this a fairly new practice for me, even though I've spent a lot of time in nature. really not in this type of practice, right? Under how really becoming aware of my senses and how they relate, and slowing down and kind of matching my pulse to the pulse of the forest. And this is very new, and it's taking me, it's a work in progress and it's a practice. But some pretty profound things have started to happen. And what I'm finding, what I'm really kind of starting to consider is, were they happening before and I just wasn't noticing them? Right? How much of this was happening because I hike? When I hike, you get out on the trail and let's go, and we're going to go 10 miles and we're going to be back by certain, and it's like, go. And I'm gonna, and then this has been a new practice to really slow down and just see the forest and see what's going on. And so, this is one's coming to my heart, so I'm just going to share this. I was hiking so I am blessed. I live on the coast of California. I am fortunate enough to live, I'm 10 miles from the beach, and I'm about 20 miles from the closest redwood forest. So I have the great pleasure of doing both at any given time. So very early one morning, I love to get into the forest at sunrise. The pulse is very quiet. The humans, we haven't come in with all of our stuff yet. So I love to sneak into the forest early, spend a couple hours, and go ahead and get out before people all arrive. I was coming around this trail. I was coming around a bend, and there's a creek, a river, and I heard this splash. And I thought, my mind said, "Oh, a frog just jumped off of a log and went in." And so I continued down, and this little stream, or we'll call it a river, there is a footbridge that goes across it in the summer months, but in the winter months it's gone. So there was no footbridge at the time. So I knew I was going to have to take my shoes off and walk across, which was no big deal. But there was, as I was getting to kind of investigate where the splash was, I see this beautiful salmon and her spawn baby swimming upstream. And we're talking maybe like 2 inches of, like, very, very, she was almost completely exposed. It was a very small creek. And I, of course, went to get my phone out, and my phone, because I need to capture it because I'm going to show everybody. And I'm fumbling and all this stuff. And I'm going to miss this opportunity if I try to seize it and show the world. So I was able to put my phone away and watch her for probably 15 minutes navigate her way through the rocks and the twigs and the stumps and all of these obstacles to get wherever she knew in her heart she was going. And I've never witnessed anything quite like that. And have this little baby one just trusting and knowing and going. And it was just really profound. So as I was leaving and I got to the ranger station, I was trying to, and she was like, "Don't tell anybody that you saw this." Because they want to protect whatever's happening. They don't want people out there messing with it. But she's like, "You witnessed something pretty incredible," because I've never seen that before. So it was amazing, and I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. It was just her and I at 6 o'clock in the morning, and she was on a mission to go where she knew she needed to go.
Wow. That is so beautiful and so magical. And we know this goes on. I mean, we
Do.
hear about, like, we know this is what happens and stuff, but to actually witness something like that. So I'm curious, when you had this experience, do you remember, like, what was going on in your life at the time?
That's probably been about 2 years ago. So I would say that I was definitely sinking further into the forest therapy practice. And I've been a searcher. This goes back to what you asked me at the beginning. Like, I've been looking for Narnia. I've been looking for the rabbit hole. I am definitely identifying myself as I'm a seeker. Don't quite know what it is I'm seeking, but I'm definitely a seeker. And so I would say at that time, it was just really starting to clear the path of removing other types of obstacles, right? And kind of learning to be very intentional with my time and my energy, and staying true to the direction I wanted to go. So I guess there you go. I guess that was just very metaphoric in the salmon. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, this is where the magic really intensifies, because we can experience something in nature, but we have to realize that there's a message for us. Why did we see this?
Yes.
Why were we given that beautiful
Yes.
gift of
Yes.
witnessing?
Yes.
Because there's something deeper that's resonating within us,
Yes.
a
Yes.
metaphor
Yes. Yes.
and a resonance between our energy and that other being of nature.
Yes. Yes. I'll share another quick little one if you're okay with that.
Of course.
It was on Thanksgiving. I've been so I'm in the same forest Thanksgiving this past Thanksgiving, and I find this painted rock. And it's painted, it's like a ladybug or something with these beautiful, it's just painted, and it's very in a very random, mysterious little spot. And of course I find it and I see it and I'm, oh, it's so cute. And like someone left this here. And I struggled for, so at first I wanted to take it. Like someone left this for me, right? So there's my humanness coming in. I'm like, oh, look, someone left this for me. It was meant for me to find. I'm going to take it. I started to walk away with it and I thought, no, like, is it for other people that I was struggling? So here's this humanness, right? I'm having this experience in this natural space, but my humanness says, take the rock. It's yours. You found it. And I took it back and I put it down and I was going back and forth. And ultimately, I said, I am going to take it, but I know it's not supposed to stay with me. It's meant to be, it's going to go somewhere else. I am going to share this. It's just, I don't know. I was being called to go ahead and take it and bring it with me, and it was going to be shared. So I left it in my car. This was Thanksgiving. Left it in my car, in the console of my car, and I was just waiting. Flash forward, I was working with an organizing client recently, and it was her daughter's birthday. And her daughter and I have bonded via nature on all my visits there because she's a rock collector and she'll show me a rock that she found or a piece of sea glass. And so I started and so I thought, oh, I'm going to give this little girl this rock is for her. It's her birthday. I'm not a commercial type go out and buy, but I'm going to share this rock with her. I share this rock with her, and she started to cry. She turned 6. And this was maybe just a month ago that I gave her this rock. So I had it at Thanksgiving. Flash forward, so I kept it maybe 3 months. And she held it, and it was almost like she recognized it. And I can't explain the way she received this gift of this painted rock that I found in the forest, and how inspired I was to give it to her, and how receiving she was to accept it. Her grandmother passed away about a year ago. Her grandmother was younger. They were close. And just some things, it was just very beautiful, full circle, that I trusted that what I had found at that time was meant for me, but it was also meant to be shared with someone else. And yeah, it was just a very beautiful and profound time, and she still has it. And yeah, I told her I'm going to get her up early one time and take her to the forest at sunrise, and she can explore the forest as well. So
Gosh. Oh,
yeah.
wow. That is
Yeah.
so beautiful. And yeah, so that kind of battle within you is interesting, because yeah, I could resonate with that. Thinking, well, maybe there's somebody that needs to come along and find it more than I need that, but you went with it because you knew, yes, somebody else does need this more than I. Yeah.
And it's just being able, and that's been a work in progress for me. I own that as I sink deeper into this practice, is really understanding my role and what I'm being offered and what I'm receiving, and accepting the boundaries of the generosity of nature, but not wanting to mess with its ecosystem, if you will, at the same time, right? It's like being very intentional and trying to always offer something when I come. I have a tree that I'm very close with. We talk, is there anything you need from me while I'm here this time? Is there anything I can do before I come back? I have a very personal, very, very personal relationship with a few trees in that forest.
Yeah.
But that's the counsel that I think we should all be listening to right now. So I'm very confident in the wisdom of that particular forest and the messages that it has. And yeah, so it's again, but I'm recognizing my humanness of is this okay for me to take? Asking the forest permission, is it okay for me to take? I'm working on that quite a bit, is understanding and being able to receive the messages that it's sharing with me, whether it's, nope, this is not for you, or yes, please, you're the messenger, take it out and deliver this to someone else. So
Beautiful. So for those who are listening to this and saying, how do I have a conversation with a tree? Or if I ask for permission, how do I know the response? So I would love to open it up for you to share how you kind of work with that, because I think we all, there's similarities, of course, but we all kind of have our own way of doing it.
mhm, mhm. So to address the first part of, if someone is, how do we even start a conversation with a tree? That might be like, wait, you want me to do what? Right? Again, very awkward. This is not normal. This is uncomfortable or different. My invitation for that person would to be, simply find a tree that calls to you. Can be someplace that you're familiar with. It can be in your backyard, can be at your neighbor's house, your sister's house, the local park. You'll know the tree. And if you don't know, then just spend some time being outside and getting acquainted with the possibility of getting to consider a tree. And then simply sit with it. Simply sit with it. Introduce yourself to it. Simple as that. Hi, my name is. And then possibly wait for the tree to respond. It may offer its name to you, it may not. It just may want to sit with you. And really, in my experience, just starting there and being comfortable, it's kind of like making a new friend. It can be a little like, what do you like to do? What do you, how long have you been here? But I've tried to not make it so serious with my tree conversations. And so but this has been, again, this is a practice that I've been working on and nurturing for some time. It didn't start out with me just having the ability to have these open, honest conversations. It takes some time, which is the beauty of forest bathing, to really sit, slow down, quiet the chatter, physically occupy your body in these beautiful senses that can smell and touch and taste and hear, that we don't really pay a whole lot of attention to, but have this extreme high intelligence, more than our thinking brains can even acknowledge. And those senses just start to respond to these natural environments. So whether you're exploring with your sense of touch, the bark on the tree, what does it feel like? What does the tree smell like? I have certain trees. So for me, a redwood tree, I can take myself back to when I was 6 years old and camping. The smell can take me. So those smells can take us places that we might not have been in quite some time, right? The texture can take us someplace. The sound, quiet, closing your eyes and just listening to the bird song, or listening to there is a melody to natural spaces. And so it's allowing yourself just to even open up to those sensory experiences. Then other things will start to evolve. Yeah, whether it's a memory or something that, or maybe you will hear the tree whisper something to you. It's entirely, everyone has their own unique, their unique experiences. I mean, I've slowed down with my trees long enough to recognize there's spider webs in certain parts of the trees, and by really slowing down, I can see the spider web vibrating, and there's no wind, there's no movement, but it's as if the tree has a heartbeat, and I can see it being reflected externally through the spider web. And so when you start to have those, for me, those experiences, and to start noticing those things, I start thinking, this tree has a heartbeat. So it took me a while to recognize that. It did something happen to me the very first time I sat with a tree. This is me visiting this tree over and over, and it finally showing me, or I interpreted, my interpretation was, I have a heartbeat. I'm a living thing. Yes. Which made me want to take care of it. And our relationship has further developed. So in this particular grove where this tree is where I do take people on forest bathing experiences. I feel very comfortable with this grove. I feel like this grove is welcome to people coming, and maybe some kids climbing, and it's got some, it's got some whimsical ways to its nature, if you will. So,
Right. And they do have different personalities.
mhm,
As you're
mhm,
just, alluding to, some trees are a little like standoffish. They really don't
mhm,
want human contact.
mm-mm, mm-mm,
And others can be very nurturing, others can be
mhm,
very playful.
mhm.
Oh,
Some can be very serious. Some have lived a very long, hard life and are done with the done with the
done with
nonsense of
humans?
chaos. Done with humans. Yep, we're like, we're done here. You've done enough. Like, right, we're done. But I think that what I think is really important on what your question leading to this was, how do we start doing this? And because we're not really trained, we're brought up to use our thinking minds. We're brought up and raised and conditioned to listen to other thoughts and theories and different. We're not really taught the emotional intelligence of our bodies, or I wasn't anyway. And if there are people are, I'm envious of you because I was not. To know and to understand this intuition and this higher level of intelligence that has the ability to communicate, if you will, with our natural environments. I mean, and so it's kind of tuning into that and it's kind of learning how to nurture that. But this process gives you the opportunity just to even recognize, oh, look at the smells. I haven't smell like people were not smelling things anymore. So that those keeping just doing those types of practices over and over just starts to bring this awareness and knowing that you have this body and recognizing that. And we don't have to depend on thought for everything. And our bodies are really intelligent and know the answers. And that just comes again with certain women of a certain age. I have learned that this always knows,
it's
always,
true.
always knows way more than this knows. So this practice being in nature gives you the opportunity just to really reconnect with that inner knowledge
Yes.
and recognize again the heartbeat of a tree at the same time, and to know that we are all. That's the other thing about the forest, right? You can't go to the forest and individualize different things. It's when you are in the forest, you really realize the forest isn't the tree or the rock or the stick or the leaf or the bird. It is the combination of all those things. And that's us too, right? So on
So
this planet,
right.
we are. So I hope more and more people can just go sit with a tree. More and more right now. We all need people to go sit with a tree if you do nothing else. This weekend, just go sit with a tree for 30 minutes. 30 minutes, go sit with a tree.
So true. So true. Just breathe with it.
For sure. And there's just the frequency that the earth vibrates at. Its natural frequency is what we vibrate at. But electronics and cars and noise and computers and TV, it's all interfering. So it's kind of hard to reconnect with and be resonant with that pulse, right? And so when you're in the forest, you're slowing your body and you're vibrating at the same frequency, or you're starting to try or just even recognize that frequency again, right? And same thing, it's like our eyes can see more shades of the color green than any other color. You know this, right? But not so there's so many colors of green. We're hardwired to recognize those colors. We're hardwired to resonate with the decibels, the frequency of bird song. All of those things we're just are at a cellular level are
Yes.
meant to respond to those environments. And people are getting, I am so much healthier. There's so many, my creativity, my sleep, so many things have occurred. Not just with this practice, I've done other things as well, but I'm seeing this with people who go out there. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm sleeping better. My anxiety's down, my blood pressure's down. I got my labs and like things, people are getting healthier. People are getting healthier by spending time outside.
Yes. Yes, and talking about, like, the chatter, I'm I'm really looking into, the idea that when we're in our normal indoor environments, we have a little kind of that like electrostatic around us. And there is all of this energy, as you're a feng shui consultant and understand, the buildings absorb energy. So you've got all this like chaotic energy. And when we walk out, the chi level just rises, right? In
Yes.
natural environments. And I'm I'm realizing that, um, when we're out in nature, I feel like we're able to get these divine guidances. They're able to land on us, metaphorically, like through metaphor, land on us so that we're able to find our bliss. We're able to recognize ourselves in a more authentic,
Yes.
clear way.
Yes. Yes.
And the
Yes.
more we can do that, the more
Yes.
we'll be in tune with who we are meant to be on this planet.
Yes. 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 100%. Yes. And that goes back to just being able to recognize that, right? And like you said, I find this, I've said this before. I'm like, I never feel crazy outside, crazy, right? So, I mean, there's times where you're inside and it's like, oh, I can get in my head and it can just, there's nothing specific happening. I just feel like the building is actually trapping
Yes.
what's going on in here. There's no room for it to like escape. And I can be outside and it just there's room for it to expand. The earth can absorb it for us, right? It will absorb it for us, but again, there has to be a reciprocal relationship with it. It can't just be here, take all my stuff. But yes, and so to get outside, to consciously take those breaks away from our desk, to take a walk around the block at a cellular level, that's where we're supposed to be. And some people sometimes they don't recognize that, right? We talk about that, the impact of our environments. And I know that you're passionate about helping people understand biophilia and how it can affect our spaces and bringing it inside. And I love what you're doing. And I loved taking your class. And I learned so much, but understanding how we don't have the luxury of just being outside all the time. We have to be indoors, but how can we enhance those spaces
Right.
to be more in alignment and bring in those natural things for just to fuel our souls and to tap into that inner person, like you said, our inner purpose, and being able to identify that and connecting with that. We need more people, more and more people just following their purpose. It's hard because my humanness, yeah, it gets in the way too, just like everybody else. But how am I going to pay the bills? But how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? It's all very noisy. But when you just go back and you just look at nature and watch the natural evolution of life and death and new birth and all of the things that just happen, how everyone's just working together, supporting each other. The trees aren't fighting with each other. The everything's just working in harmony. And it's just if we could all just recognize that, we're all just one great big beating organism,
Yes.
this rock floating, and we all, yeah, I could, that's a whole nother thing. But
Yeah.
if more and more people can just, yeah, just spend some time outside and leaning into their purpose, I think it's very needed right now. Don't be afraid of it.
Yes. Oh, yes. So, is there a story that comes to mind that you had a revelation? I know we have a series of revelations throughout our life of, especially those of us who've had a different career and then we uncovered and we switch gears and we go different ways. Do you have any story of being in nature and having that kind of aha moment? I should be doing this.
I had somewhat, and I'm just going to speak with what landed in my heart just in response to that because it must be the right thing to
Yes.
say. Um, I would say it was in 2018. Had been working in corporate America. I had doing all the things. I'm not very good at checking boxes and adhering to like, I'm a people help. I want to help people. And I recognize this in my work. And we weren't it just wasn't aligning. And I knew that it was time for a change. And I was already kind of internally working on what that might be, and there was an eclipse. So I knew the eclipse was happening. I woke up very early in the morning. I want to say it was like 4 in the morning, California time. And remembered, looked outside, saw the moon, and I was just calm and getting in my car. I'm going to the beach. I'm going to drive. Again, it's only 10 minutes. So I drove to the beach. No one's out there, kind of scared by myself. Have to walk up this decent sized sand dune to get to the place I wanted to witness it. And I get to the top of the sand dune, and it's just starting. So the moon is hanging over the ocean, and it is bright. It is beautiful. It is huge. It is illuminating. It's like the lights are on, and the reflection on the ocean is beautiful, and you can see and the way the sand dune, it kind of slopes down, so it's kind of like this little bit of a valley, and it just goes into the Pacific. And I can see it start to shadow, and it's starting to shadow, and it's starting to shadow, and I'm watching it get smaller, and I'm small, and it's getting dimmer and dimmer. And of course, again, I want to get my phone out. I'm going to try to capture this. Not going to happen. Can't even try to get a picture of an eclipse in the middle of the night, but whatever. So I succumbed to that, put the phone away. But I did decide to put my AirPods in and play Amazing Grace. So I stood at the top of this sand dune by myself at 4 in the morning, watching the world get completely dark. Couldn't see the ocean anymore. Couldn't see anything. And then it slowly started to reveal itself again. And I cried, and I was listening to Amazing Grace, and just, I feel like that moment in time, it was like I got hit with a lightning bolt. It was like zap. I was not the same after that. And after the moon starts to reveal itself again, and light's starting to come back, it appeared not to be the moon, but like a window. It was so white and bright, it looked like a window to another place, a portal, if you will. And as it gradually opened or got bigger and bigger, and the moon started to illuminate again, it felt to me as if I could crawl through that portal. Like it was like this. I was able to recognize there is a space on the other side, and it's right there. Even though the moon, does that make sense? I felt in that moment, I want to say small. I don't want to say large. I felt, I can't, there's not a word that I can think to describe that feeling. I just recognized a bigger presence. Even though I'd been taught it, churched it, all the things here, I had never truly felt it here until that moment. And that launched everything. I quit my job. I don't want to say I walked off that sand dune and drove into my car and quit my job. It didn't happen that succinctly, if you will. But I started my organizing profession, which led into forest bathing was something I'd already wanted. All of these things happened. My training all happened within a very short amount of time. But it's been almost 7 years now, so it's been some time. But yeah, that was a pivotal moment of just, and also just life experiences, right? A lot of things had happened to get to that point. But that moment at that eclipse I'll never forget it.
Wow. That's a lunar eclipse. And I think I know the one because I was just telling my husband, well, tonight is an eclipse.
I know. I'm excited.
Here in New York, it's going to be around 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning, and I'm getting up. So unbelievably amazing that story came up today.
Okay.
When we are in the process of transformation, yeah, it isn't like a light switch goes off that we're doing this and boom, we're doing that. There's this process of growth. There's this process of uncovering and discovery and adventure. We're just kind of feeling it out. But those moments, those pivotal moments of, I made my decision. In fact, I didn't make it. Someone higher made it for me. That I can no longer be the old self. I need to
Mhm.
step into this new self that I'm here to be. This is who I'm meant to be.
Yes.
And again, it doesn't happen overnight because
Mm-mm.
it's the way things are, but we make a decision, and that is
Mhm.
the pivotal moment
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
these experiences can illuminate. And
Absolutely.
what a gorgeous metaphor for a lunar eclipse, because a lunar eclipse is always about endings.
Mm.
They're about endings and new beginnings. They're about
Mm.
rebirth.
Mm.
Wow.
Yes, and I just it's the knowledge that you have and the classes and the things that you're offering, I just think are so important right now. And we're not, again, I'll speak for myself. I wasn't brought up with elders or generational messaging of the world and how to care for it. And it wasn't that there was a disregard for it. It just wasn't, it just wasn't.
Right.
And I just, um, with the work you're doing, with the work I'm doing, is just hoping to bring that awareness that people have this. Everyone is, it's here for everyone. There is no prejudice here at all. Again, even if you live in a city, there's a tree. Even if you have a house plant, you can get to know your house plant if that's all that you have access to right now. But that it is here for everyone. And when the world does seem unsettled, for those of us that don't have a place to turn to, um, this is a great place to start, just tuning into your own inner voice, your own inner wisdom. It's really, again, as I said earlier, it's very, very intelligent. We all have it. We all hear whispers of it, but we're not, but it may sound silly and it may sound crazy. That's something I'm working through right now. I will have some, what I think are the most genius ideas in the middle of the forest. And again, in my car, and then I'm halfway home and I'm talking myself out of it. And it sounds silly. And my ego gets in and the world gets in and all the noise gets in. And this is something I'm personally working through right now is like, okay, when I'm out there, it all makes perfect sense. Anyway, I digressed on that a little bit,
No.
but people, I think when you are able to tap into this inner wisdom and knowledge and having the courage
Right.
to fan that flame because it's
Right.
scary. It's scary.
Yes.
It's scary. What I'm doing is scary. What I feel sometimes is like it's because it's not normal. I am way off the beaten path. I'm way over here. But I
Yes.
feel it is my responsibility as a member of this planet collectively to do my part,
Right.
to teach and share what I know with others. And I want to learn. I want to learn. And I know that trees can help teach us. And so that's a work in progress for me right now. And it's a very conscious thing that I'm very aware of, which is awareness is half of it, right? But it's like, okay, all those ideas that you just had, you're like dismissing and trying to identify and clear out. Like, yeah, it's a work in progress, but
I hope you record those ideas. I do. I do with my phone. I put it on either the voice
I know.
recording or the
I
note,
know. I
and I
know.
just speak into it, and then I'll go back. And yeah, I do have to sift through some things going, that doesn't really resonate. Sometimes things don't
Yeah.
resonate, but really it is the courage because we put ourselves we have to put ourselves out there. Like you
Mm-hmm.
said, it's like there's no alternative to not
Mm-mm.
following our bliss.
Mm-mm.
There's no alternative to saying, yeah, I think that sounds a little kooky. I'm not going to say that, or I'm not going to post that. We don't have that luxury of
Mm-mm.
editing ourselves
Mm-mm.
anymore. We just
Mm-mm.
need to be out there.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, in the highest vibration,
Mm-hmm.
with love,
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
compassion.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you don't even have to announce it. That's the thing. just will naturally illuminate darkness, right? So we know in a dark room, if you bring a candle into it, we don't have to announce we're here, the light's here. It fades and the light takes over. And so we need people to just be their own lights. We need more and more lights. And however you can bring your light forth, bring your light forth.
Yes.
And be brave.
Yes.
And
And
be brave.
nature is one of those nurturers that can help us fan that flame of our light.
Yes. Yes. And which, again, going back to why I think your book is it's a great time for it, because people can read it and understand, okay, wow, these people have had some pretty profound experiences. And the beauty of it is, because it's nature, it's nature. I'm not trying to sell you snake oil. This is our earth. This is the oxygen we breathe. This is the water. This is everything that sustains us. So it's natural to want to commune and relate with it. But again, we're not really taught much about that or encouraged to do so, right? We're encouraged to consume and collect,
And not think for ourselves. Wow. Well, are there any other last words you'd like to share, Maria?
No, I just want to thank you. I remember being at it was a conference, it was an online conference, and you were presenting. I think it was a Feng Shui conference, and you were presenting, and you had offered your course on biophilic design. And I had already been trying to connect my dots, right, with my forest practice and my Feng Shui. And one of my teachers had already explained to me, she's like, you got the trifecta, because you already have this nature sense, and you're bringing it, Feng Shui is bringing nature in, and biophilic design and the language that you use and the examples that you share is very relatable to people. I think it resonates differently than some of their languages with how do we bring nature in and balance a space, right? And so I've just really enjoyed getting to know you, and that everything has come full circle, and love your book, and that we're talking here today. So love, again, this path that I've been on is just inviting me to be around people such as yourself, and vibrate with people such as yourself. So,
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on here today. And as you said, I mean, doing these podcasts, I just feel so blessed by being able to vibrate with all these other people that, bring such beauty, bring their authentic selves to the world. And I'm blessed. I am really blessed. So thank you for coming on today, Maria.
thanks for having me. Thanks for
Yes.
having me. We'll see each other again soon.
Yes. And thank you to all who listened. I would love you to share and subscribe. But most of all, I'd love you to comment below on anything that resonated with you or any thoughts you have. Would love to read that, and we'll reply. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful Enchanted day. Thank you for being a part of the Enchanted Earth podcast. Please hit the subscribe button so that you'll know when we publish another inspiring episode. Check out my book, The Enchanted Earth, available wherever online books are sold. Thank you and have a magical day.